What did you make of Trump's speech? Do you think he made some convincing arguments in favour of a wall, funding for the wall?
Well, in the end, it was a tough challenge for him because in the end, this is a president who built his entire candidacy, his entire raison d'etre politically on the idea of putting up defenses to protect the United States from immigration, particularly on the southern border. Remember the first announcement of his candidacy when he was going into the primary season, the famous pictures of him coming down on the escalator and making that address where he explained that Mexicans were pouring across the border and that although some of them were okay, they were largely still rapists. That had been the beginning of his campaign. That was day one. The entire personality, the entire political campaign has then been built around that. So, of course, we come to its crystallization. We come to the moment when Donald Trump wants to put this into effect and get that wall up. The trouble, of course, for him is not only that with the Democrats now in charge of the House and with a stronger voice now in Congress, it's even harder for him, but the cracks are appearing within his own party. And the point is that even as he went into this address, the majority of Americans are convinced both that the shutdown is his fault and both that his wall is unnecessary. So he needed, on one hand, to convince the American public, broader public opinion, not simply his base, but the majority of Americans skeptical about this, that the wall was needed. He needed to give the Democrats a sort of face-saving way out. He needed to rally his own base. He needed to give the political and ideological justification for what he was doing. And on all those fronts, it's very difficult to see how he succeeded. What's likely to happen now is that he's going to watch morning television in America over the course of this morning. And of course, it's begun now. And we're likely to hear a lot more about his reaction over the coming hours, both from Twitter, but also when he signs his anti-trafficking legislation later this morning in the Oval Office. He will have free rein. Last night was scripted, Claire. He stuck to the script. It was a solemn moment, a somber moment, one that he hadn't used so far, speaking from the Oval Office to the American people that way. And with all of that scriptedness and that framework, we heard a sort of sanitized version of what he really believes. We're likely to hear much more about it today, especially as he's unlikely to be very happy with the sort of coverage he's likely to get throughout the morning from the networks.
And you mentioned